And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to my Dexter Original Sin, the big body problem. I'm excited to be able to do this tonight on my birthday. I'm excited to be able to give you my thoughts on episode 7. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna talk about this. If you guys are in the live chat or anything like that, go on ahead, chat it up with me a little bit, and let's do it. And hello, movie lovers. Like I said, I'm going to be doing episode 7 of The Big Body Problem. And what I'm going to tell you this is I really enjoyed this episode. But first, I want to talk about the sponsor here for the show for today, and that is Phonetics. And let me just tell you this, man, guys, okay? So, Phonetics is a fantastic sports shop. Matter of fact, I ended up getting this hoodie, which is a Boston Celtics hoodie, and I really love their style. I really love their fabrics and stuff like that when it comes down to their sportswear and stuff. So go ahead, get yourself a jersey, get yourself something from Phonetics, and treat yourself today. And thank you so much for being a part of the show, and thank you for supporting our show. And so let's go ahead. Let's talk about Dexter Original Sin, the big bad body problem. So here's the thing: when Justin and I reviewed episode 6 last week, we discussed that maybe when Dexter got pulled over by the cops, that number one, either someone was going to be working this crime scene, or something else is going to wind up happening to Dexter to where they might have to search the truck. Well, we were wrong on both accounts. But Masuka and them were working the scene, but at the same time, we were also wrong because the cop winds up telling Dexter, "Hey, look, kid, what are you doing? This is a crime scene here. You're just going to have to go back and turn back around." So instead of Dexter just turning back around, what he winds up doing is something that we've seen Dexter do all the other seasons of Dexter, which is he pulls out his lanyard. He says, "I am part of Miami Metro. I'm part of the forensics team, and I'm here to work the case." And so he goes into Alligator Alley, and lo and behold, one of his people that he killed, his arm floated back up. If you remember correctly, where I ended up saying this is going to come back on Dexter later on, to where the alligators didn't chomp on the rest of the body or anything like that. It ended up floating back up, and this is now the repercussion of it. So, like I said, Dexter utilizes his forensics badge as an excuse to be a part of the crime scene. He was discovered at the first time. He would utilize the badge. And like I said, original series after this, including another trip to the Everglades as he reaches the destroyed cabin where Dokes was blown to pieces. We've seen him do this before, time and time again, right? But Dexter seizes the opportunity to tamper with the crime scene for the very first time in this episode. And I like how he tampers with it. You have Masuka, who's working the scene. You also have Loretta with him, but I also like how Dexter goes, "Yeah, I'm just here to lend a hand," and then Masuka goes, "Lend a hand," does his whole entire thing of his laugh. Masuka does, and so Loretta and them leave Dexter alone. Dexter, while they're not looking, goes ahead and he sees the alligators rising up from the top of the water, and so now he figures out a way to get rid of the body, the part of the arm. And so he winds up taking the arm and he winds up feeding the arm over to the alligator, and then he hurries up because, "Oh my god, I'm so glad that I'm okay." And Masuka goes, "What's wrong?" He goes, "I almost got chewed up by an alligator." And so that's what happens with the arm, and that's also how Dexter winds up getting away with it. And I also like how basically Loretta's like, Really, Dex? Way to go to lose the body part." And Masuka goes, "He could have been killed." And that's one thing I don't like about Loretta, is the fact that even though Dexter did destroy evidence, Loretta's only out for herself and very selfishly. And we always see her in all the other Dexter episodes, where basically she wants the attention, she wants the praise, she wants all the attention and all the glory for herself versus it being geared towards somebody else doing their work. She wants to pat herself on the back and forget about everybody else. But also, too, the dead body in the back of Dexter's truck is Levi Reed, and Dexter's just trying to figure out how to get rid of his body now that he has to worry about this crime scene, and now he doesn't have anywhere to dump the body. So we have that playing out, and I definitely like how he winds up trying to figure this out. So what he does is he goes over to the dumping grounds, right? And he winds up dumping the body in in the garbage. Hopefully, in the sea of garbage, nobody will notice this body being through this whole entire garbage field of Levi Reed. But Dexter at this time does not know how to dispose of a body. He's brand new to this. He's trying to discover who he is as a killer, and also trying to balance out his regular life and also his killing life, which is a hard thing to do, according to Dexter. But then you have another thing too that winds up happening where you actually have Tanya Martin, and you know, which is played by Michelle Gellar, and everybody's saying that she's underutilized in this season. I feel like that, if you're gonna say that, you might as well just say that about all the other characters because of the fact that they're not in it as much. It's not about them; it's about Dexter being out in the forefront and stuff. They use the side characters and stuff like that whenever they need them to. So Sarah Michelle Gellar and stuff, I don't feel like that she's being underutilized. They're just trying to figure out how to utilize her in the way that is incoherent with the show itself. But that's the way that I'm looking at it. But Dexter winds up asking everybody, "Hey, how do I get rid of this body?" Well, not necessarily how to get rid of it, but hypothetically, how do I get rid of a body if I want to go ahead and get rid of it? One person suggests, "Oh, there's actually a skyscraper. So you can go ahead and bury the body underneath the building whenever they pour the cement," which is also what they did with the Trinity Killer and stuff. But Dexter's like, "Great, I have to wait for another skyscraper just to hide a body." So that's off the table. Another person said cannibalism. And of course, we also seen how much Dexter hates cannibalism, especially when we looked at all the other seasons of Dexter. So that other person was not very helpful. Masuka also said taxidermy. So, and of course he shrugs it off. Dexter winds up shrugging that off. Then Harry comes in and goes, "What's going on here, Dex?" "Oh, nothing, just talking." And then he said, "Oh," Masuka winds up ratting him out on an accident. He goes, "Oh, we're just wood chopping, wood chopping here about how to get rid of a dead body." So you have a little bit of a comedy element with that, and I like the comedy in this series as well. I think everything works for it, and and then you have you know this other thing too, where after that happens, you have this thing where this police captain's son is kidnapped, of course, from like the last episode. And what winds up happening is this: the killer winds up taking takes the kid's finger and and winds up putting it into the box. And so after that whole entire thing, it all of a sudden just goes dark to the point where now you're trying to figure out who's the killer, what's going on here, and how are we gonna who's the big bad of the season. So I like how we're wondering those same questions. And of course, you know Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is like, "Well, we've Dexter found a little small thing on the box of blood splatter, but it doesn't indicate who it might be. It might actually just belong to the victim, or it could belong to the killer himself, but it's actually a very long shot." And the police captain's like, "Look, I don't care as long as I actually find my son. And as long as we find him, that's all that matters to me." And so they wind up going on ahead and trying to do the research on how to do that. And, then, there's also the other stuff that I want to mention as well, where we have Dexter. Let's see. Well, basically, this is another thing I want to talk about. So after all that happens with the blood splatter, Dexter winds up pretty much just going on ahead and is like, "Look, I got to figure out what this beeper codes are and stuff like that too, because of the fact that his sister's friend is basically beeping him the whole entire time. He doesn't know beeper code or anything like that. So he's trying to figure out that on top of trying to figure out how to um, solve this crime. And he winds up finding out that it's actually the police captain that is the killer who took the son, because of the fact that whenever he sees him in Dexter's office the next day, he's like, "Well, what's going on here?" And he's like, "Well, I just want to check and see what's going on." And well, right where the victim stabbed the killer, the arm where the person stabbed him at is actually bleeding. He goes, "Oh, I was trying to fix my air conditioner." So he's like, so Dexter is like kind of believing him, kind of not believing him, but he kind of figures out the fact that this is actually the person that that is doing this to people. And so it's also sadistic to know the fact that the police captain's actually kidnapping his own son to maybe get back at his wife. But still, it raises the question of like, why is he doing this? Why is the police captain? Why did he kidnap the judge's son, and started doing that? So my thought process is this: I'm thinking that something happened with probably the trial or something like that, where they basically sentenced um, someone that he had arrested, and the judge let him go. So therefore, he wants vengeance for that. But that's what I had thought with as far as that goes. But to know that you kidnapped your own son just to get back at your wife, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that he did this so that way he can get back at his wife for everything that she did and stuff. So which is really sick. But yeah, then you also have the second latest antagonist, and for the first season for a separate series reveal and franchise seventh episode. So this is one of the latest reveals of the antagonist across the existing Dexter shows, with his reveal on 3 episodes remaining the season for Dexter to focus on bringing him down. While Brian was revealed in the 8th episode of the season, he remained anonymous to the other characters until the 11th, giving the audience an edge on the identity with the realization of who the kidnapper is. This is the first episode of the franchise where Dexter targets a main antagonist. This episode is the first to fully introduce Hector Estrada, who up until this point was only shown in a photograph on board detailing his cartels. Dexter begins shopping for a new dumping ground after the Everglades is ruled out, checking through maps of nearby bodies of water until he ultimately discovers the Biscayne Bay through remarks that he would need a boat, hinting towards the later equation of slice of life. And I'm thinking that maybe the woman down at the records department is probably the one who winds up giving him the boat. I think that something happens to her husband, and therefore she has to get rid of the boat. But he also does this though too, and I like how they play this off. This episode provides hallucination and also descriptions of 3 real life serial killers that Dexter looks to inspiration on the disposal. It gained David Barascus and John Wayne Gacy through determines that each of their methods don't fit his needs. Which Ted Bundy, the Zodiac Killer, and several other killers are mentioned earlier in the season as well. Dexter disposes of Levi's Reed's corpse, like I mentioned, in the dumpster, which is later buried beneath a landfill, marking the only known instance of disposing a body in this manner. He does not have pursue that this further due to the risk, the smell, and the complications involved. During a water cooler discussion, Masuka boasts that he saved Dexter's life back in the Everglades. Clark Sanders admits that the location was a great place to hide a body. So, you have all this stuff that's going on, and they're having this water cooler conversation and workshopping how to basically how to hide a dead body. Then you have Dexter seizes the opportunity so then you have Maria, like I said before, Maria only cares about herself and wants to be in the spotlight and doesn't want to give anybody else any credit. And Maria Lagretta approaches Spencer about a potential serial killer based on Dexter's explanation at the 3rd crime scene for the NHI killer, quoting him directly as she explains the evolution of the killer's methods to find what he feels is most pleasurable. And she doesn't even mention the fact that this was even Dexter that winded up giving any kind of incision of who they're dealing with. She ends up taking the credit away from Dexter and puts it on her rather than rather than saying, "Hey, look, Dexter mentioned this. I ended up, and I'm going with that hunch that we're dealing with a serial killer." But instead, she takes the credit with the pat on her back, as she always does, because that's Legretta. That's how she operates. That's how she is. Then you have Tanya Martin praises Dexter for spotting a blood splatter on the outside of the box, used to house Nikki Spencer's finger, suggesting that it may belong to the killer. Like I said, there's a chance that it could belong to the killer, but also, too, it could also belong to the victim as well. So it's a 50-50 shot on that. Then Angel Batista realizes the photographs taken of the arm found in the Everglades, that it belongs to Tony Ferreira. His motivation to open the case on the arm prompts Dexter to intervene, providing insight that Ferreira got what he deserved and that he had that photo been shown to the victims, they would believe it to be justice. He then redirects Angel back to the helping Nikki Spencer, which Angel thanks him for talking him down off that ledge in the pursuit of chasing after Ferreira's killer and Dexter himself. But here's my thing. And we already know that Batista is going to be in Dexter Resurrection, right? So my thing is this. I'm thinking that maybe Batista is going to bring up this part of the series. It's like, look, I trusted you throughout my whole entire career, and you're the killer. You're the one who's been doing all this, and you're the one who's been dumping the bodies out in the Atlantic and stuff. And that's not cool, man. And that also betrays Batista's trust in him. And basically Batista loved Dexter. And I think that this is actually going to wind up playing a small role in Dexter Resurrection. Is like, look, I trusted you all these years. What's going on? Why did you do what you're doing? So, you have that. And like I mentioned before, we also had the whole entire thing here where you have Dexter's dad who's sleeping with Dexter's mom. And, Harry winds up calling it quits. And, and now we're having to deal with the whole entire undercover thing. And it's more tension between them two than ever, because now he wants to be a full-time father to Deborah versus him having an affair with his wife. And, I like how he apologizes to her. She goes, look, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I messed up here. And then she said, well, this is the first time that you ever apologized to me. And then you also have this other thing that happens right after Legretta winds up taking credit for Dexter's work. They said, how about a road trip? Next thing you know it, you have 1970s flashback again. And now she's about to meet the person that's going to wind up killing her later on. And you wind up finding out that he's wondering, why does she want to sell drugs? What's her motivation behind this? And she's like, because for my kids, for support. Well, you can get a job. Why do you need to feel like that you need to sell drugs to make a living? She goes, well, to be honest with you, I see what you have here. You have a mansion, you have the swimming pool. This is what I want. This is my motivation here, so I can give my sons a better life. So he kind of buys it, but kind of doesn't. You can definitely tell that something is up. He even makes her get naked inside the swimming pool just to see that she's not wearing a wire or anything. So, I just feel like, he just doesn't believe her. And he doesn't have a reason to believe her or anything like that because, she's working undercover for Harry. And I don't think that she's going to end up dying probably around episode 8 or 9 at this given moment and everything, because that's exactly how it runs in with the timeline. But still, I have to say, I really enjoyed this episode because we get a lot out of this. And then you also have the whole entire deal where the killer's feeding, getting like TV dinners for the victim so that way he can eat. And then after he eats, he winds up killing him. But you get to see the detective. You actually get to the police captain get the TV dinners, and then the woman is like, "Oh, these are very popular." He goes, "Yeah, they are. My son loves them." I'm like, "You asshole! You're making Dexter and everybody else at the police department look for your son when you're the one who kidnapped him in the first place." And that's a ball bag move. And I'm just hoping that Dexter gets him on the table. My prediction is this, and it may be too predictable, but I want to know what your thoughts are. But my thought process is this. I'm thinking that while he's on the table, while he has the captain on the table, that maybe the police force and stuff like that actually know that, hey, look, it's the captain that's killing these people, so therefore we need to go ahead and go after them. And just as that's happening, you have the cops coming after him, and then he has to hurry up and leave. Therefore, maybe they wind up arresting him anyways before Dexter even has a chance to do it. But like my wife says, it might be a little bit too predictable. And as a matter of fact, she's actually in the comments. I'm waiting for the moment Dexter exposes him. I am too. I'm waiting for him to expose him for who he is. And I'm waiting for him to be on that table to be judged, and having the pictures and the photographs of everybody that he's killed and all the stuff that he's been pulling, because of the fact that it's very shady to see this cop do this to his own son, and to play victim like this inside a police office, and stuff like that too, throwing chairs around, acting like he's angry when he's actually the one who's kidnapping his own son and cutting off his own son's fingers. And like I said, I'm thinking that he just wanted to get even with his wife because maybe she cheated on him, and now this other guy's in his place now. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's what's the real motivation behind all this, even though it's a really douchebag move. But yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, come on. I would like to actually know what your thoughts are and stuff like that too. But other than that, though, solid episode. I'm ready for episode 8 of this to come out. I'm really am a huge Dexter fan whenever it comes down to the continuity within Dexter itself. And, I'm just glad that we have Michael C. Hall that's really dedicated to playing Dexter and wanting to do this again after what happened with Dexter New Blood. What about the judge's kid? Why kill him? Like I said, I think that the judge's kid, I think the reason why is for the simple fact that maybe he had to work the case and the person got off and he didn't like the way the judge did everything. So therefore, he winds up kidnapping the judge's son to get even with the judge, because he didn't see didn't see that the justice was done. But that's just my thoughts on it. Hopefully, we get more into it as far as that goes. Maybe there's a cartel thing that happened, and the judge ruled it into the cartel's favor or something, or maybe the judge was bought off or something. But that's just my line of thinking. That's what I'm thinking here. But my question for you guys is, what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments below. Also, to email me at movieloversunite@gmail.com if you guys have any questions about this episode or anything like that. I'd like to actually geek out with you guys about Dexter. Also, too, listen to us on Spotify. I'll be glad to talk to you over there, too, and just talk about Dexter or anything that you guys want to talk about. By the way, that's going to be it as far as this episode goes. Okay, hold on. I'm also surprised Harry didn't have a clue about the captain at all. Here's the thing with that, okay? So I'm thinking that the reason why he doesn't know about the captain is because he's so tied into the police force itself to even notice what's going on around him. Plus, that's also his friend. So anything that, if you're really close to somebody, you're not going to notice certain things. You might, and don't forget, he also lied to Dexter, the captain did, where he said, well, I had to fix my cheap air conditioner. So he lied to Dexter. So basically, he could do the same thing to the police captain, to Dexter's dad too. So that's also another thing that I'm thinking too. Is like maybe Harry is not noticing certain things that Dexter is, because don't forget, Dexter thinks like a serial killer. Harry thinks like a police officer. So you have two different things going on at the same time where you have that happening. So that's just my line of thinking on it. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for as far as this goes for this episode. Tell me in the comments what you think below. I'd like to actually know. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and don't forget to buy yourself something from Fanatics, our partners over there at Fanatics. Get yourself a nice hoodie, get yourself some nice stuff over there. Also, to visit our friends at Unfiltered Studios, Stupid History Minute. We also have the No Wellness, Pedals of Support, Sleepy G Show, Rossie's Clubhouse, which is my co-host's podcast as well. So go ahead and give them all the love and support that you need to give them. And thank you again, as always, for watching and listening to us. And always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.